Hello there and welcome to Urban Diaries. This is a program that sets the new urban agenda and also discusses the future of Ghana's urban centers. Now, it is widely believed that Ghana is urbanized, and that's because over 50% of Ghana's population are now living in an urban centers according to the 2010 population census. Now, undoubtedly, when more and more people gather in one particular location, you should agree with me that there's going to be a lot of pressure on social amenities, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So in the next 13 weeks or so on this platform, we're going to be discussing the potentials of Ghana being urbanized, also the challenges of Ghana being urbanized, and some of the interventions that are being put in place by civil society, by government, and by city authorities to make the cities of Ghana the best. However, as a journalist though, I have reported on a number of urban issues, some of them positive, some of them negative, the challenges and also the potential and opportunities that exist in cities. And in this maiden edition, I am going to catalog some of the challenges of urbanization, what urbanization is all about, as well as some of the potentials that exist, as well as the interventions that are going on as far as Ghana being urbanized is concerned.
For the first time in history, more than half of humanity are living in places which have higher number of people and the best of services with sophisticated infrastructure branded as cities, towns, conurbations or suburbs. This development is what experts call urbanization. It is estimated that by 2050, the number of people living in cities will reach nearly 70%, with the rest found in less populated areas. This development called urbanization is being viewed as one of the 21st century's biggest transformations, which also comes with its own challenges as well as opportunities.
Urbanization is not bad. I mean, everywhere throughout the history of man, it is only when there is a congregation of the populace that development and changes emerge.
Urban development and urban migration is a challenge we are facing today. But that is good because it creates the condition upon us as city authorities to sit up.
Ghana, a relatively small West African country, is experiencing its fair share of rapid movement of people into urban areas over the past 4 decades.
The urban divide means that more of half of Ghana's population has already left rural areas to live in the big cities.
The urban areas in Ghana are structured in 6 metropolitan assemblies and 50 plus municipal assemblies. So we are talking about 51% of our population living in these settlements.
The 2010 National Population Census counted about 52% of Ghana's 25.37 million population living in urban areas. The census also projected the number to rise to 62.9% by 2025.
Ghana is becoming an increasingly urbanized country. At the start of the country post-independence, we had a ratio of about less than 30% urban to 70% rural. That has continued to change over the decades.
An urban area is defined by Ghana's planners as a human settlement with population of more than 5,000 inhabitants.
Urbanization as a terminology has a basic definition, and that is in Ghana when a town hits a population size of 5,000.
We must begin to clearly define the hierarchy of settlements that we want. What must go into a settlement to qualify as an urban center, because you can also have rural towns just by mere increase of their population becoming urbanized.
It is believed that Ghana's demographics present dynamic opportunities for the development of its urban centers. However, the anticipated increase in the urban population can only propel development if strategic measures are taken to forestall the natural challenges the rapid urban growth presents.
Despite the challenges of this 21st century, people have access to better way of life. And when people have access to better way of life, they will decide where they want to go, where they want to live, and what they want to do. And of course, they will come to the cities.
Unfortunately, overall, Ghana's cities are yet to come to terms with the principal challenges the rapid urbanization poses.
Once the planning precedes development, urbanization is then well catered for. What we have is unplanned, uncontrolled urbanization.
In terms of spatial of the urban, we seem to be making some progress, but in my estimation, people are continuing to become poorer and worse than they were 20 years ago, for example.
Basic commodities such as water are scarce for inhabitants, even when authorities admit the water sector attracts a lot of financial aid. As I discovered in my report filed for the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting and aired on PBS NewsHour.
We are attracting a lot of investment like nobody's business.
How do we close this gap, considering the sort of investments that we are attracting like nobody's business?
There's a lot of work being done. There are a lot of projects that are ongoing.
As more and more people move into the urban areas, facilities and infrastructures are being stretched. Gridlock traffic situations, poor hygienic conditions and excessive pollution, inadequate housing and rapid rise in slums, and stress on social amenities, among others, are challenges emanating from the rapid rise in the number of people in Ghana's urban centers.
The more people move from rural areas into big cities, the bigger the problems become.
It places a lot of pressure on infrastructure. It places a lot of pressure on water, education, places a lot of pressure on even sanitation, delivery, and so on.
Because slums have increased and informality have increased and struggles of water and sanitation are worsening the urban space.
Many young people who have thronged cities like Accra, the capital, end up sleeping on streets and pavements. When it rains, they clamber for space, exposing them to several dangers. Nursing mothers feed their babies in the open at night near open drain gutters filled with mosquitoes.
We are among the very few countries globally, even in the African continent, who do not matter where people sleep. We just don't care. Our policies are very blind to how people live in their cities.
Dilapidated buildings serve as homes for many in slum communities.
All my shoes are wet and filled with algae, and this is where this baby has to be fetching water to drink. The health situation is in danger. The growth level of this baby, you can agree with me, would definitely be stunted. But that is how the situation is, and she has to be walking through this. She's actually barefooted. If you can see this, she is very barefooted, and one wonders the sort of diseases she can pick up from this particular situation. And as soon as I stretch my hand, I meet both corners of the room. This is how bad it can be. This is all they have to live in. A container that is very empty, and as soon as you take it, the bed is no longer a bed. He has this put on it like this under it, and then he sleeps on it.
From interactions and observation and doing assessments of people's lives, you will get to realize that they feel quite confident that there's hope. But unfortunately, how to translate this hope into reality has been a mirage. It has been very, very evasive.
The emergence of slums in Ghana's cities arising from the cost of lands and limited housing opportunities for the urban poor is a norm. These slums, when left to develop, pose dangers as criminals take advantage of its hidden and disorganized nature. Poor sanitation may also be a major outcome of urbanization when badly managed.
This thing you will not see it on daytime. They will not put it in daytime. Maybe sometimes it's exactly. That kind of challenges.
All on my right hand side, refuse, piles of garbage everywhere. Drains are choked. It's not surprising that when it rains, the entire city of Accra becomes flooded, lives are wasted, and we begin to cry. But we created them. Look, everywhere. People urinating in there, people defecating in there. Everywhere is choked with garbage.
Ghana's cities are battling with sanitation problems as landfill sites are getting extinct.
Can you look in the faces of the people and say that you will get rid of the filth and the sanitation problems in the country?
The challenge is that We must have an engineered landfill site. We have real challenges, and we must put our hands around those challenges. But that notwithstanding, we are facing those challenges every day to make sure that we have a better environment for our people.
But as a people, what do we want? We want a filthy environment. If we don't want it, then we channel our resources in making sure that we fix that.
Drainage systems are choked with filth and leading to disasters like flooding.
It's a matter of prioritization.
Who is not prioritized?
It's government. Government needs to prioritize.
Another area of focus for us is improving sanitation in the city, in respect of giving people access to better sanitation, making sure that we improve waste management in the city. In addition, looking at where we don't have sufficient social services and making sure that we're able to reach the people with better social services.
There is also a lot of pressure on transportation in Ghana's urban centers.
We see congestion on our roads. We see the challenges growing day by day. Public transport system, organized public transport system with high occupancy vehicles. The policies are there telling us clearly the way we want to go. But we are not doing it.
In Ghana, one group of people who have for a long time been neglected when it comes to urban mobility are those living with disability and sitting in wheelchairs. There are no disability-friendly form of mass commercial transport for people who sit in wheelchairs. In my attempt to assist these two wheelchair users to move from one location to the other, I struggled to convince every commercial bus driver. When I eventually did, the experience was awful. In the process, one of my friends sustained a deep cut. As a result of this urban mobility challenge, many wheelchair users and persons living with disabilities prefer to be stationary and beg for arms instead of working, because they are unable to commute in search of jobs or work when they secure jobs.
This is a struggle that these people have to go through on a daily basis just to commute from one place to the other.
We're joking.
When it comes to urban mobility,
we are joking. We need to take it seriously.
Until very recently, social events like national independence celebrations, presidential addresses, town hall meetings, and even religious gatherings do not consider persons living with hearing impairment, making them excluded in national discourse.
In line with Article 17 on non-discrimination, if we are organizing a public event, then there's a need for us to make sure that everybody who attends the event is able to participate in that event.
I think generally we haven't done well at all. I mean, you notice for most functions organized by the state, be it the swearing in or the sessional address, you hardly find a sign language interpreter at these functions.
Is equal as a human to anybody else.
But we are coming to our senses and we are beginning to realize that we are not taking care of the needs of a section of the Ghanaian population.
Let's admit that that neglect is real, is true, and I pray and hope heads of churches will come to this realization.
However, in the Habitat 3 or the new UN Urban Agenda on Sustainable Urban Development, countries are encouraged to empower the vulnerable in decision-making and create equal employment opportunities for all in order to eradicate poverty.
Beyond all these challenges, Ghana's urbanized status has brought about some positive opportunities. Literacy among urban populace has improved considerably. Universities and other tertiary institutions have expanded, running into hundreds, compared with just 3 universities some decade ago, as the private sector continues to harness the urban opportunities. The number of people pursuing to be gainfully employed and having better living conditions, as well as driving in good cars, are growing.
We've made mistakes in the past in terms of urban planning, and so we've seen some areas of our urban centers where access to social services, access to utilities and others are below what is desirable. And so we're going to work to improve that.
Many of Ghana's big cities like the capital Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, and even some secondary cities have seen significant improvement over the past decade.
Those of us who have seen Accra over the past, say, 30 years, you cannot but see the tremendous growth that has taken place in Accra.
The city of Accra has expanded tremendously. And I can tell you that when the first batch of architects were training at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, they tell us that the most sophisticated building in Accra at that time was the UTC building. Now today, look behind me, you can see a big building, the Octagon. That area used to house the people we call Kayayes, the headquarters. Also just nearby is the Mervyn Peak Hotel. The Accra Financial Center has come up. The World Trade Center is just on my left-hand side. And a number of buildings all springing up in downtown Accra. So as more and more people move into the cities, so are facilities expanding.
City malls have sprung up. The private housing construction sector is booming, though almost all of it are not affordable to the low-income earner. Already plush neighborhoods are getting sophisticated. Some road networks and infrastructures are being expanded, even though most of it do not consider other forms of transportation like rapid commercial bus and cycling lanes.
Today, if you should go to the roads of Accra, you will see that most of our roads have been asphalted, have asphalt on them, so that people are driving on better roads.
But it hasn't been expanded well enough, has it?
Well, it is a process that is moving. There is no way we can do all the roads, but there is a tremendous improvement.
It is also worth recognizing that Ghana's attitude towards urbanization has changed to a more realistic and positive approach, which see urbanization as an instrument for development.
Several interventions we're putting in. One of the key ones is what I announced on the day that we launched the urban policy, and that is to be able to properly identify, properties in our urban centers. That is the street naming and house numbering exercise. All the metropolitan municipal assemblies are currently, working hard to beat the deadline that I gave to be able to number the houses and name the streets. That would become the basis for proper planning. You can't do proper planning when you don't have, the streets properly named and numbered. So that's one of the areas we're looking at.
This informed the launch of the National Urban Policy and Action Plan in March 2013 to have a better direction and course of action to support more creative, productive, and inclusive urban development.
We came out with the GAM project, which we call the Ghana Urban Management Pilot Project, to deal with some of the challenges we have identified as within the policy, which is to increase infrastructure so we can be able to bridge the infrastructure backlog, to ensure planning, because also there's problem because of the congestion of planning, and also to ensure ultimately financial autonomy of these cities.
In recent times, district assemblies have started respecting the laws to hold town hall meetings twice a year as required to allow full participation in local governance. Governments are venturing in building its own affordable housing units, although there are calls to do more.
This project is being done in Kumasi, Sekondi, Takoradi, Tamale, and Ho, to show the example of how we should deal with urban challenges in terms of planning. So we have special planning, and even to the extent of local plans being prepared for these cities and in participatory manner so it can be implemented. And we want cities to be organized in orderly manner so that can serve as an example for other cities. We're doing the same for Kumasi. We also include street naming, how it should be done, apart from the general we did under the project is being done specifically. And we have also various infrastructure, especially for sanitation, landfill sites and abata markets.
Public-private initiatives to tackle sanitation is equally being pursued.
We are expanding the Mudo treatment plant. In October, we are going to recommission a new facility at Mudo with additional facilities. Lavender Hill, we are just about starting a new program to close Lavender Hill. By October, when we would recommission the new Mudo treatment plant, Lavender Hill will be a thing of the past.
New disability-friendly buses have been procured for wheelchair users and is expected to function in Ghana's cities soon.
The most important feature of this bus is for universal access, which means that we're talking about disability friendly. So we have a ramp.
Which is this one?
Which is this one. So the ramp is meant to wheel the wheelchairs into the bus. And then again, it has the possibility of kneeling on its side so that it lowers the height of the bus.
All the buses that has come are fiscally challenge friendly.
But there are calls to improve the rapid nature of the roads for these buses.
If we improve infrastructure across West Africa in terms of access to energy, in terms of linking our highways together, that will be a component towards ensuring that the urban centers and cities that we are, increasingly growing in West Africa are done in a manner, that allow people to live decent and dignified lives. And so that's going to be a part of my program as champion of sustainable urban development.
Well, the people of Ghana will need to hold their leaders accountable and demand better cities as Ghana attains urbanized status. The future of development is bright and the opportunities abound if necessary interventions will be put in place to harness the positive prospects accompanying urbanization.
If we say a nation is urbanized or an area is an urban center, is it just all about the numbers, just 5,000 people, or it should go beyond that? Professor Kwame Nahoy is an expert on local governance.
Many settlements become urbanized without the accompanying infrastructure and services, and therefore puts a lot of pressure on government and infrastructure providers to try to respond to the demands of such settlements, which become urbanized without the appropriate infrastructure and so plan your urban area in such a way that those people can access the existing facilities, whilst you take time to provide the facilities in those new areas that have come up. So, for example, now you see that shopping malls, for example, are spreading all over Accra. We have one at the West End, we have one at the Nungwa Junction, we have the Accra Mall, we have Achimota, etc. So, I mean, that, for example, is helping. But there was a time when the only place you could buy things was Central Business District. Yes, so when you have a situation like that, then the pressure will be on your transportation system. So you have to deal with transportation whilst you make provision for the spread of this, for the horizontal spread of these kind of facilities in the other areas. So the planning for the peri-urban areas, is always an important part of the provision of urban facilities and urban infrastructure. Now, the problem we have in Ghana is that these peri-urban areas are different or are overseen by different district political authorities. Because of that, for example, one of the major things that we are trying to do is to develop and implement this concept of a joint development planning area, which is in the National Development Planning System Act of 1994, Act 480. Now, joint planning development area puts together an agglomeration of metropolises, municipalities, and districts, which have virtually become one settlement, so that for purposes of planning. Because what is left of Accra now, for example, you cannot use it to plan. You can't plan for waste management in Accra.
Why is that?
Oh, because what is left of Accra is very, very small.
Well, so we gauge the opinion of some people living in urban areas, why at all they are motivated to move from the rural communities into the urban centers.
For instance, wherever you grow up, when you get to a certain age, the system will ask you to go and make life for yourself in order to bring something in the house. And everybody see Accra to be a place that whenever you get there, there will be so many opportunities for you.
People move to Accra here because of lack of employment in other various regions in Accra here. So I think they come to Accra here because to get better employment in Accra here, in the city.
A lot of people are moving here in Accra
people are moving from their rural areas to Accra because of quality healthcare, quality education, and a lot of people are seeking for greener pastures. That is why.
It's very obvious that Accra is really growing faster than we thought of. Because right now, if you move to Accra, previously you wouldn't see a lot of people in Accra as we used to see back then, like 10 or 5 years ago. Accra was not that big like this, but now, if you move to Circle per se, you wouldn't even get a place to even put your leg or something like that, because everyone believes that Accra has the perfect education, good jobs are found in Accra, but that is not it.
We take a look at some of the measures that have been put in place either by civil society or government or city authorities to ensure a better future for Ghana's urban centers.
The future of Ghana's urban cities continue to engage city authorities, governments, civil societies, aid agencies, and Ghana's development partners. This year, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development organized the Ghana Urban Forum, which brought together stakeholders in the Bonuahavo regional capital, Sunyani, to deliberate on ensuring a sustainable, well-planned and built urban cities in Ghana.
I'm happy to announce that government is making efforts to pass the local government borrowing bill, which is an important legislation that will give opportunity to MMTAs to borrow on their own from the capital market.
Speaking under the theme, Localizing the New Urban Agenda, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development reminded stakeholders that Ghana indeed is experiencing rapid urban growth, which will require all and sundry to assist in harnessing its opportunities instead of being overwhelmed by the challenges.
The rapid rate of urbanization also creates challenges. These challenges need to be effectively managed to ensure that the potential economic and social development arising from urbanization are optimized to reduce poverty, improve the quality of life of our people, and to protect the environment.
The minister praised development partners and aid agencies like the Dutch Development Corporation GIZ and Cities Alliance for their immense contribution towards supporting Ghana build resilient and sustainable.
Now let's take a look at some of the facts about urbanization. So I believe that now you know when we say Ghana is urbanized, what it means, some of the issues that confront urbanization, and some of the potentials that exist around Ghana being urbanized, and what interventions that are being put in place are concerned. We will be bringing you a lot more issues around urbanization in the coming episodes. Next week, however, we will be raising the issue of slums in Ghana's urban centers. Thank you for watching.